from MMA Fighting Studios, this is Between the Links. And now, your host, Mike Heck.
The iconic voice of Esther Lynn welcomes you to a brand new edition of BTL. Happy Tuesday to us all. We warned you last week. We might go a little earlier. We might have to mix things up because we can't have a live show on Thanksgiving. But we didn't want to leave you hanging. We were thinking of different options, and we decided, you know what? We're going live for the peeps just a couple of days before we gobble on the Thanksgiving turkey, the mashed potatoes, the stuffing, the cranberry sauce, and all the fixins. And we welcome you to the program. Q&A, what we're thankful for. I know I'm thankful for all of you guys, but we'll talk about what we're thankful for in the world of MMA later on in the program. But joining me to answer your questions, a man that I am thankful for as a colleague and a friend, Mr. No Gray Area himself, the hot take kid, the one and only Jed Bashu from MMAfighting.com. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm adjusting my camera because I realized I had it all set up wrong. That was very sweet. I'm very thankful for you as well, Mike. And I'm thankful for everybody that is tuning in. I'm not thankful for my dry erase marker, which, as you can see, is running out of juice. That's supposed to say Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about things. I'm excited for Thanksgiving. I'm cooking this year. When we're done here, I'm fresh out of the gym, so I don't smell great. But fortunately, there's no smell-o-vision here. So I will take a shower and then head to my local grocer and pick up the accoutrement as I embark on this journey on Wednesday evening and Thursday day.
All right. So what are we making? All the goods?
We're doing the full bore. I may have this depends how many people are going to join me. And so we're sort of figuring out the finer details, but be doing a bird, mashed potatoes, Brussels sprouts, stuffing / dressing. And then I may or may not make a pie, depending on if somebody else wants to make a pie, sort of that kind of potluckish plan. But I'll do the big items, because I've done them before. And bird's tough. It's not like that tough, but it's the trickiest of them. Everything else is very easy.
I'm very excited. I love Thanksgiving. We'll be heading to my parents' house in Florida. We'll probably drive over Thanksgiving morning to avoid all the major traffic because tomorrow's going to suck.
I do that move all the time. I've done that move many a time. It's a great plan.
Yes. We'll go there, have some food, play a little family golf on Friday with the wife and my mom and my son and my dad. It's going to be a great time. So let's get to the questions. Fire them on in there. Of course, Super Chatters, get to the front of the line. Let's start here. Joseph Boza, have they heard anything about UFC 324? James Lynch did a video on his YouTube saying that Ariel is reporting that the front runner is Kayla versus Amanda. James also heard maybe Alex Pereira versus Carlos Ulberg. So I had heard the Pereira-Ulberg rumor last week. I reached out to people who would obviously know. The exact answer, I will pull it up for you. Just for context, I want to make sure that I'm not speaking out of turn. It's 100% bullshit was the actual answer. So there you have it. That is not in the plans from as far as I'm concerned. And if you're going to do Kayla versus Amanda on that card, why would you put Alex Pereira on that card? It makes no sense. Kayla Amanda is a great main event. It doesn't need really another star above it. Like that could be the main event. You could do another co-main event. I don't think you need Pereira on that card if you could do Kayla versus Amanda. So I don't think Pereira versus Ulberg will be happening in January. For as far as I know, Pereira is still a little dinged up, and he wants to fight John Jones on the White House card. Like that's what he's looking at right now. He's going to be out for a few months. He wants to fight John Jones in June. So I would be incredibly shocked if that fight happens in January. I'll be shocked if that fight happens at all before the White House card. So just throwing that out from what I've heard. But your thoughts, Jed, because it seems pretty apparent based on everything we've seen, interviews from this man, Ilia Topuria is not fighting in January. He's not fighting. So
dude, he botched this so bad.
He kind of did. So your thoughts
He
on
botched this so bad.
that and the idea maybe Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes could be the big fight for the kickoff of the Paramount relationship and the numbered events?
I mean, I believe Ariel's reporting on it, and so there's some level that makes sense. Kayla has given some interviews in the past month saying that she is targeting sort of a January return and then fighting on the White House card as the only American champion. That's not technically true anymore, but as one of the few American champions. So she was saying, I'd like to fight in January. And I forget who that was with. I think maybe it was on Masvidal's new podcast that she was with him and was like, I'm trying to come back soon. And it would be against, she didn't say Amanda's name, but heavily implied that that fight was in discussions for early in 2025. And so that makes sense. Sucks for her. Means her Thanksgiving and Christmas are going to blow because she doesn't get to eat food. But like that, I think that fight does make some sense. I had not really considered it much because it just feels like that would have been announced because you should give Kayla Harrison as much time as possible to make sure she's making that weight. Unless they're going to do something fun and just make it at, move the bantamweight division to 140 pounds or something, which would be cool, but they're not going to do that. So I think that'd be fine. I'm with you. There's no reason to do Alex on that fight. Mike, you know what they should do as the co-main event for that fight that I think would make the most sense in the world? Waldo Cortez Acosta should not fight in December, and he should fight in January against anybody. I think I know he wants to fight in December. It's a little too soon. Why don't we just have him fight as the co-main event against rematch Pavlovich? That's fine. Whatever you want to do, but don't let that dude fight at UFC 323.
I spoke with Waldo Cortez Acosta last night, as a matter of fact. That interview will be coming on the MMA Fighting YouTube channel over the next few days. The UFC is already discussing him fighting December 13th. They're trying to figure it out. Too hard. And at this point, the UFC kind of agrees with this, apparently, from what they're telling me. The opponent does not matter. They just want to see him do the thing. So it does just line him up. Waldo said, I was like, you know what you should do, Waldo? You should just go to Vegas and make a video. It could be like old school pro wrestling where people would go to the wrestling shows and the wrestler would be like, I'll give 1,000. It could be like the Spider-Man situation with Tobey Maguire as the human spider. And he could win a bunch of money. Anybody, it does not matter. Anybody who lives in Vegas and can fight at heavyweight should take the opportunity to fight Waldo Cortez Acosta.
If we're going to do this, which we shouldn't,
we should absolutely.
Somebody good needs to. Curtis Blades fight him.
I think
because he will win and he won't get a bonus, and that'll be fine if Curtis Blades fights him. But if he gets a 6, if he's the fighter to do the sit, it'll be both very silly that he got 6 fights in a year and that this worked out so unbelievably well for you. So move him to the co-main event of 324. He's over. It's fine. And I do, to get back to the topic at hand, I do think Kayla Amanda is a good enough main to be the first, but I don't think that that's a standalone fight for the broader public. I think that fight will have a little bit of reach outside of the hardcore MMA fan base, but women's MMA in general just doesn't have as much range. I know Kayla is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, and that gives her some juice, and Amanda's, ostensibly the GOAT. And so that fight is more than good enough to carry, but I do think it needs a little bit of support. And so I don't know what would be the support. It probably wouldn't be a title fight, frankly, just based on who's available. Unless you could get Zhang Weili to turn around quickly and fight Mackenzie Dern, but I don't think they would want to do that. So I don't know what would support that, because I do think that needs a juicy co-main to go with it to really feel like the first numbered event of the new era.
I got a great one.
Okay.
Arman Tsarukyan versus Paddy Pimblett for the interim lightweight title.
No, that's awful. I hate awful? What are we doing an interim lightweight title for?
Because this is the UFC.
No. Also, I don't want Arman to turn around that quickly. I think he would still win that fight, but
oh, he definitely win.
Yeah, but I don't. There's no, because to the not asked question, Topuria has effed it. He's punted this because The only way the Paddy fight made sense is in January. You do the quick turnaround. Now he's coming out saying, I'd like to fight Paddy Pimblett. Well, you should have fought him in January. You should have signed on to fight that fight in January months ago. And the fact that you didn't because you were either out negotiating yourself or holding out some vain, idiotic hope that Islam Makhachev would fight you at welterweight that was stupid, because if he's not fighting in January, he's fighting Arman Tsarukyan. There is absolutely no world in which that fight can have, like, Ilia can fight in February or March and it's not Arman. It would be categorically insane to do it. And so why would Arman fight Paddy in January? Like, no, I'll wait a couple months and fight Ilia. Like, I don't think that fight can happen at this point, because Ilia turfed it. Like, I do not know what was going on in his head. Don't think it worked out at all.
I mean, we'll see. I actually don't, just based on some of the welterweight title discussion and some of the reasonings behind certain fighters fighting in said welterweight title fight, I actually think I'm not going to say he's like the front runner, but I don't think he's dead in the water.
I think it's not a chance.
We'll see, man.
I think it is 0% that he fights for the welterweight belt in his next fight. I would bet almost anything like on it.
Well, it depends what the UFC is going to do here. Okay. And here's what I mean by this. And I'm going to throw another.
It'd be the worst title shot ever given by the biggest margin ever. As much as you hate Kamaru Usman getting a title shot, which is bad, if Ilia Topuria got a welterweight title shot, it would be the most shameful moment in cage in the history of the sport.
I don't disagree with you on that, but here's why I don't think Ilya's out of play. Because you have to look at this through two lenses, right? One is you think about it from a meritocratic standpoint. There is no argument you could ever make that says Kamaru Usman should be the meritocratic winner of this conversation. There is literally no argument behind it whatsoever where anyone with a reasonable mind for this business and this sport would listen to that argument. The other argument I hear is, well, Usman's the biggest fight. And the question I have for you, Jed, is how is that possible? Like, what did I miss over the last 5 years with Kamaru Usman, where he is all of a sudden this bona fide 2 million pay-per-view selling draw? Because if we look back on history, this man was the B-side for almost his entire championship run outside of the Gilbert Burns fight. That was the only time he was the A-side. And maybe the first Leon fight, he certainly was the B-side for the rematch. He was the B-side for both Colby fights, and he was the B-side for both Masvidal fights. When did he become this massive draw? That's what I want to know. So if the UFC is looking at this as we want to put the biggest fight together that'll get the most amount of eyeballs on it, I'm telling you right now, Islam Makhachev versus Usman versus Michael Morales versus Ian Machado Garry versus Shavkat Rakhmonov, any of those names in play right now, there is no difference in how many people are going to watch that fight. Why? Because Islam Makhachev is the A-side. He is the star here, and people just want to watch him fight and defend the belt. It does not matter who his opponent is. The only fighter he could face that would move the needle in a significant way is not Usman, it's Ilia Topuria. It is Ilia. As shameful as that is. So if the UFC is looking at how can we make the biggest fight and get the most amount of eyeballs on Islam Makhachev's next fight, it's Ilia by a mile. By a mile. It's definitely not Kamaru.
One, Mike, apparently per the chat, your audio is low. I pulled up YouTube. You sounded okay to me, but they're saying compared to me, your audio is low. I'll turn it up. So yeah, maybe juice it up. I fundamentally disagree with a couple of things. I do believe Ilia would be the biggest fight. I think it would be ridiculous to argue that. I mean, I think Alex Pereira would be the biggest fight, but like at some point, rationality has to play. Like George St. Pierre would be a bigger fight than Kamaru Usman too, but like let's live in a world where everything isn't a total carnival sideshow. I strongly don't believe like that Ilia is a bigger fight to a degree that is like hugely meaningful. I think there's a wide disconnect in what Ilia Topuria brings as like an actual draw versus what we think he will and should do, because he is very famous. Certainly in Spain, he is very, very famous. But like, I don't think my friends know who Ilia Topuria is. I do not believe he broadly passes the mom test in a way that Conor McGregor did. And I feel like because we want there to be stars and he is going to be a big, big star and is relative to the current iteration of things, a big star, we've just sort of decided he's Conor, and he also acts like Conor and is trying to be Conor in almost every possible way. He's not. And so I agree it would be bigger. One, that doesn't really matter anymore.
That's my point.
Out of the pay-per-views, it just doesn't matter that he's bigger. Because it wouldn't be bigger to such a degree that it would be necessary. And so the only way it remotely tracks to me is if they feel compelled to do something great, like never before done on the White House card, which I don't think is correct. I don't think it's how they'll feel. I also think that, they've got bigger players than Islam and Ilia for the White House card. Maybe I am naive. It is possible. I cannot believe that in a lightweight division, which has a clear cut, no bones about it, undeniable number one contender, and a second dude who you absolutely should fight for a myriad of reasons and is currently in the top 5, that they would just be like, yeah, we know we let you bail on featherweight where there were multiple guys you should have fought, but we let you bail there because Islam was leaving or whatever. We're going to let you do it again. All 5'7", 160 of you go to welterweight when there is also 5 dudes in play at welterweight. I cannot believe that they would just throw out any level of common sense. I can't believe we're still having this conversation. Everyone, let that fight go. If you love something, let it go, and maybe it will come back to you, because it was kind of like it at least had a window. I understood it previously. I still thought it was being rushed because we were desperate to feel something, but it at least made some sense. It makes none now. Let it go. If Ilia is as good as all of you believe him to be, and I frankly kind of think he might be too, prove it. Don't be like, hey, go fight him now and hope. Prove it. At least beat Arman Tsarukyan. At least do that. You should have to beat Paddy too, and probably one other guy, but at least beat Arman Tsarukyan. And if Islam is as good as we all believe him to be, defend the belt. Because if Ilia Topuria goes up, if they let it happen, and he knocks out Islam Makhachev, which he fucking wouldn't, I forget. I don't remember. It might have been the MK Boys. Maybe it was Jack Slack or somebody. I don't remember who was saying it. The history of champ fights is actually mostly garbage. Islam versus Volkanovski 1 is the best of them functionally. And the one time it was really, really good. And also, I'm really comfortable saying this now, though I think people will be furious because they love Alexander Volkanovski. Yeah, in hindsight, that fight was as good as it was because Islam Makhachev was not had his worst day ever. And he still won 4-1. But that fight was good. Every other one is mostly garbage. We just saw 2 of them and they weren't that fun. The same thing is overwhelmingly likely to happen, especially at welterweight. And if the unlikely scenario happens and Ilia wins, he's not a real welterweight champion. He's just not. He will have won the belt, which is an accomplishment to some level. But if Islam can't defend against actual welterweights, he's probably he was never the best welterweight. And if Ilia goes up and beats him, he's not going to defend against Michael Morales. He's not going to do that. I am begging everyone to just have some level of patience. Don't be children and demand your chocolate pudding this moment and earn it. If they're as good as we want them to be, when they do fight, it will be that much more meaningful than being hey, I don't care that both weight classes need to be defended. I don't care. Just give me that. Because then when we get in that post show after the White House, and I'm like, man, yeah, it was really predictable that Islam just sat on the small man's ass forever and no one is happy. Everyone will be furious. They'll be like, well, I guess we'll go back and do it, and then everything will feel worse. Like, I've said this from the very beginning of the Ilia Islam discourse. I think people are so excited about it and so interested in it because they can only see how special and unique it would be if Ilia wins. And it would be, but it would be less special and less unique if we force it to happen. And the more likely scenario is that it's not, and then we've just turfed a whole bunch of stuff for no reason. Let things be special. Let them organically become this way. And if Ilia Topuria goes and lights up Arman Tsarukyan, one, he'll have a much better argument to getting a welterweight title shot. He still won't have a good one, but it's at least sellable. And two, I'll be interested in, like, we can all really think about that fight and be like, man, he stuffed all of Arman's takedowns and just lit his ass up on the feet. It's really a real contest with Islam Makhachev at 170 now. Just please, like, grow up. Like, just grow up and let the thing didn't happen. And it didn't need to. This was not Habib versus Tony, which should have happened for years, and the gods conspired against it. We were forcing this a little bit, and we don't need to keep forcing it. Let it happen if it's going to happen. I promise it'll be okay. And Mike, last thing on this. You know how I know it'll be okay if we all just can forget about this fight for a little bit? Do you know how I know that will be true?
How, Jed?
Nobody gave a fuck about it. Earlier this year, at the beginning of the year, it was the only fight that could happen. If it doesn't happen, the UFC sucks and they're garbage. And people I respect were like, oh, wow, they're not making Ilia versus Islam and they're not making Alex versus or John versus Tom. UFC's lost it. And then you know what happened? We got Ilia versus Charles. There was like, actually, this rocks. And we got Islam versus Jack. And we're like, actually, this rocks because it's okay for us to just enjoy what can and should happen and let this move down the line. It will not be less special a year from now. It will only be more special and actually deserved.
I've decided that, and by the way, what's funny about the whole Usman thing is, like, Islam has even kind of given up on it. Like, all his interviews now, like, he's not even mentioning Usman's name anymore, which I think is a great call. So I've landed on what we just saw over these last couple of weeks was not actually the welterweight Grand Prix. I think we need to do it again with the 6 remaining guys. Let Islam chill. He's not gonna fight till the summer. So he's saying he wants to fight March before Ramadan, or is it after Ramadan? He was saying earlier he wants to fight in March and then turn around for thing. I don't know if that'll actually happen. I don't think it's gonna.
But happen. I also just don't think he's gonna be on the White House card. So
yeah, I mean, even if he headlines International Fight Week, like that's totally fine. But let Usman fight Shavkat. Let Morales and Prachas beat the shit out of each other. And let's...
What's Ian Garry doing then?
Gary's fighting JDM.
Okay. I don't hate that. I do hate it because I love that you just won't let it go. Like you are a dog on a bone with
because
Usman
it's gonna happen.
Because
it's gonna happen. Look, I'm gonna throw this out. Let me throw this out there right now. If Kamaru Usman beats Shavkat Rakhmonov, even if it is the most boring win I've ever seen, I will jump on that post-fight show. I will not even sit. I will raise the standing desk as high as possible. I will jump up and down and say, Kamaru Usman's fighting for the welterweight title. I stand by this. He's the guy. Without question, Usman should get the shot. And I don't care how he does it. If he beats Shavkat, you will never hear me say Usman doesn't deserve it again from that point moving forward until he gets that shot. But right now, it's silly. And every reason behind it is silly. You cannot justify this. You cannot justify this in any way. It's the bigger fight. He's a bigger star. No, he's not. He is not. I don't know where you get this information from. He's not. He's been the B-side from most of his fights outside of Joaquin Buckley and the first Leon title defense. He was the B-side for both Colby fights, both Masvidal fights, and he was the A-side for the Gilbert Burns fight because it was just his time.
but that's something. I'm not here to tell you Kamaru Usman is a big star.
He's known. People know who he is.
That's the thing. He's known. He was champion for a long time. He's a bigger star than Michael Morales is. He's a bigger star than Ian Machado Garry is. And like those are the guys. He's a bigger star than Shavkat is. Like there aren't big stars right now. He's the biggest of the available names. He's the most known of the available names.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't. True. Again, that's not by like a lot of degrees here, but like there's just not who. That's I don't. Maybe people know Shavkat because Shavkat had an aura to him or whatever.
Yeah.
Mike, I got to tell you, I'm the most confident I've ever been that Shavkat's getting the next title fight.
I hope I would be fine with that. I'd be totally fine with that.
It has been a dramatic change over the last 2 weeks of being like Shavkat could get it and we've all forgotten it. And it feels like everything's breaking because whatever John Anik says, you can't give it to Ian Machado Garry over Shavkat. He just lost and nobody likes him. And he's not like, he doesn't have like, that's harsh, but that's true. This isn't even me trying to be mean to Ian Machado Garry. Like he doesn't have a fan base that will propel you to give him a title fight. And there's no like actual friction with Islam to sell it. Like I feel like he's last in line right now. I mean, he should be over Protest, but Protest at least has people who love him. And so like that gives you some build towards it. I thought Usman obviously was like the guy they wanted, but the response, like the backlash to that has been so clear. When Henry Cejudo is tweeting, got to do it, that to me is the canary in the coal mine of, oh, this isn't happening.
That's Ali saying, Henry, tweet this. Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Henry's trying, and if Henry's your messenger, your message has failed. You have lost the message if that's the guy you're choosing. So like, I think that's lost. And mostly whenever they sit in a Tuesday meeting, I think the answer is just so obvious of like what makes sense for all, like what fits. If it's a puzzle piece at welterweight, all these pieces fit so cleanly to me. And it's a bunch of fights that if they booked them, no one would be mad about. People would in general be pretty excited about, and are all good. It's Islam fight Shavkat. It's Carlos Prates and Michael Morales fight, and everybody's stoked about that. And it's Usman fights Garry. Like, and that's, you then do a welterweight Grand Prix or who does it best between those four of Prates thing. And Shavkat just fights Islam, and nobody's the odd man out. Nobody's, I mean, guess technically Gabriel Bonfim, but like, he's not in the mix.
No.
Morales, like you could throw Morales in right now. Like he's on a heater, and there's certainly some interest in that fight because of how big he is or whatever. But like, this is a dude that most people found out about last weekend, you know, like you usually give him a little bit more. I frankly think it would be good to see him fight a dude like Carlos Prates to just get a little bit more knowledge of him. Usman could, like, if Usman beats Garry, it's like you said, ain't nobody got a question about it. Absolutely. He can fight for a belt. And if Garry wins, it doesn't matter. Shavkat's already got his shot. Gary's the undeniable. So like, I think it just fits too cleanly. And all the disparate parties were trying to make something else happen because they wanted it for reasons good and bad. I get why Islam wants it, right? The Usman fight. It's a very easy win for him. And probably the biggest name, but like, I think if Shavkat spoke English or cared about speaking at all, he would have just been more vocal, and this wouldn't be a conversation. She'd be like, yeah, Shavkat's going to get it. He beat Ian Machado Garry, who's number 2 in the UFC rankings now behind Jack Della. He's undefeated. He had a title fight, and he lost it because Belal pulled out, not because he pulled out. Like, it's easy. I think this all fits. I wouldn't bet my life, but I think in my estimation, he's the front runner right now. And maybe that's wishful thinking, but that kind of feels like where the energy is.
Well, he will be ready for that time frame. Shavkat, late February, early March. So if Islam does want to fight in March, there you go. So, and look, and I've said this too, if the UFC is just hurting for a main event for January and Islam says yes, and Usman's the only guy that'll turn around and do it, then I'm okay with it. Other than that, if he's the first phone call, it's ridiculous.
It's awful.
It's just ridiculous. A couple of super chats. C. Turner says perfect support for the first January pay-per-view is Paddy versus Gaethje 5 rounds.
that would in fact be a very good support fight. If a no doubt about
Armin's
it.
screwed if he doesn't take that fight. If that fight happens, Arman is out of the
I'm
conversation.
assuming that fight happens because Ilia versus Arman gets booked, and that fight is announced as a number 1 contender fight for the winner of Ilia versus.
I'm
Arman.
okay if that is the case, but I don't know if Gaethje takes that fight without some sort of belt on the line.
Gaethje's not taking that fight unless there's at the minimum a guarantee that if he wins, he's fighting for the belt next. Which, frankly, if that fight is offered, he should take. Because if he beats Paddy, he wouldn't need the guarantee, but negotiate for the guarantee. But that could be a good support fight. That's not a bad thought. But yeah, like if that happens, it needs to be under the auspice that Arman is fighting Ilia.
I hope we get that fight. Spencer, thankful to have the MMA knowledge of Bossa Mike and the Booper in my life. Rank these MMA legends on how successful they'd be in today's UFC. I'm assuming like when they were in their
that's
primes.
A really good question. Yeah, that has to be the answer.
Yeah,
that's
Anderson
a really
Silva,
good question.
Silva, Fedor, Nick Diaz, BJ Penn.
That's a really good question.
I think Anderson's 1 for me. Oh, maybe Fedor. I don't know.
I think Fedor, because heavyweight is so bad. I think Fedor is Fedor in his prime. Like Curtis Blades would be a handful for him, and like Tom, but like he could also just beat Tom. Like that wouldn't shock me if he beat Tom. And Curtis Blades would be tough. Like they're very big dudes, but he's been a career fighting big dudes, and heavyweight is just so bad, like so bad that prime Fedor, I people don't know, and like I get it. Of all the goats of my my like 6 table that people are like Fedor, I understand that Fedor, why people don't understand about Fedor. It's hard to describe how far ahead of every other heavyweight Fedor was at his peak. It is as if you dropped George St. Pierre into UFC 8. Like he was so much better than every other heavyweight by a massive, massive margin. So I might go Fedor because heavyweight is really bad. I mean, Prime Anderson would also still do very well at middleweight, right? Like very, very well at middleweight. I think it's between those two for me.
Yeah. I think I'm with you. I think it's Fedor, Anderson.
Yeah, those 2 are the top 2, I think, in my estimation for sure. If this was neutral, I would say Anderson over, but when you're scaling for weight classes, middleweight does have like a lot of dudes. Like Fluffy Hernandez would be a real problem for prime Anderson Silva. Yeah, like he'd be a real problem for prime Anderson Silva. But like at the same time, and like DDP, I think might actually be a problem, but also DDP is DDP, so you never know. The metagame has shifted in a way that really hurts Silva's game in some facets, which could be tough. I think the one that I think Nick would be Nick would be as successful. I think BJ would not. My biggest the problem with BJ is he, by modern MMA standards, is a featherweight and perhaps even a bantamweight. And BJ is special and unique and great because it never mattered. And BJ fought Lyoto Machida and did anything. And so he could still have some success, but like BJ pin at welterweight. Can you imagine BJ fighting Michael Morales? That would be hilarious. No. And BJ at lightweight, which, is like where he's at. I mean, BJ, in my head, I want to be like, BJ could be difficult for Islam at lightweight. No, that's just not reasonable. I think BJ was just too small currently lightweight. But it's hard for me to be rational because also as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, it's pretty possible that BJ beats Charles Oliveira.
I think it's God. I think I'm gonna go Nick BJ. That's
a really good question.
I think I'm gonna go Fedor, Anderson, Nick BJ, and not because of like Nick is like the better fighter. I just think Nick's personality would get him over a lot more than BJ would be. So I think he would be more successful in like a, we're over with the fans like he is now. Like people don't have to see Nick for like a decade, and he just shows up and he's super popular and people want to see him. So I think Nick would just be the anti-hero kind of guy that people would love, and BJ would be like probably a top 7 lightweight. The game has just evolved so much that I think like prime BJ would have a nightmare of a time against Arman and a lot of those guys. Like he might be Charles now.
The thing is, Arman would be. I think prime BJ might even be prime Charles, but I could see it not. I'm actually, as I'm looking at this, I think I'm even more confident. You make a good argument about Diaz and sort of the cult of personality giving him opportunities. I don't know how that he'd do very well against most of the current iteration of the top 15.
But that's the mystery of it.
Yeah, that's
because when he's on, like when he had good, just like his brother, when he had good nights, there was like no one better.
Yeah, I think he would do quite poorly against a lot of these dudes. It's a really good question.
They would book him too.
Yeah,
they would give him prize fighty type fights.
I think BJ could be. I kind of think the answer is actually hard to know. I mean, it's hard to know in general, but like it sort of feels like BJ and Nick are going to be top 10 dudes, and that's sort of where they're at. It feels like Anderson might be a little bit higher than top 10, like top 5, like Anderson and Fedor would be top 5 guys. I think that's sort of how I feel is like, you could convince me of a lot here. It's a very interesting question though.
Prime BJ versus Ilia Topuria, who wins?
I think that fight is more competitive than people think, but I'll go with Ilia.
Prime BJ versus Max Holloway.
BJ's jab and the fact that his chin is unbelievable would have actually given Ilia some legitimate problems.
Prime BJ versus Max.
Max's volume's too much. Stylistically,
all there is interesting.
He wins that.
Prime BJ versus Justin Gaethje. What a freaking fight that would be.
Current Justin Gaethje, I'll take prime BJ. Get prime versus prime, that fight would rock. I'll probably pick BJ prime even prime versus prime. BJ could go to the wrestling, and if he gets it to the floor, it's an ocean of distance between the two of them, but that fight kicks. Prime
BJ versus Paddy Pimblett.
I'll take prime BJ versus. I think that's honest to God, that's who I was looking at. I was like, Paddy's in the top 5 of the UFC rankings, and prime BJ almost certainly walks him.
And I'm going to throw one last wild card at you. Prime BJ versus Benoit Saint-Denis.
BJ. That'd be fun. But like, that's the thing. Mateusz Gamrot and BSD both are like those are like historically the style matchups that BJ would have thrived on. And so like, I think he'd be like a top 10, maybe a top 5 dude. I think Nick would be a top 10, maybe a top 5 dude. Anderson, same thing. And because there are 6 good heavyweights, Fedor's almost certainly a top 5 heavyweight.
Interesting question here from LazyVid. Jed, you're appointed as legal counsel for John Pork in his case against New York City Mayor Eric Adams regarding the 322 MSG brawl. Present us with your defense for Chenko's actions.
There's nothing happened. There's no charges being filed, correct?
I don't know.
Also, there is, I mean, like, if you really want to get into the nuts and bolts legal thing, there's not like a good legal defense here, because as far as I can tell from Chenko went out and gave interviews that are just like, hey, you shouldn't do that if they were filing charges against you. But basically, Chenko gave an interview, and I forget who it was to, where he was like, yeah, he said stuff to me, and so I saw him. Like, he said stuff to me online. No, actually, that's not even true. He said stuff to my friend online. He said he talked shit about Islam on Twitter, and so I punched him in the face. That's a little bit paraphrased, obviously, but like his basic statement was, that guy was talking trash online. I saw him in real life. There are consequences for your actions. And that is not a legal doctrine that applies in the United States of America. I'm not up on, all the day-to-day things, so maybe that's shifted, but that's not. He just admitted he assaulted a dude because he tweeted mean things about his friend. Like, there's not really a good defense.
Yeah, Eric Adams tweeted out last night, actually. Last night, 7:00 last night. Quote,
Really?
"These assaults at Madison Square Garden are completely unacceptable. The NYPD is already conducting a full investigation, and everyone responsible will be held accountable."
That ain't happening. One, that is an enormous waste of New York City's resources in general. Two, Eric Adams, like, he's a lame duck mayor trying to pull this shit anyway, which is dumb as F. And three, I don't know if you guys saw this. We're not a political podcast, and we don't have to get political, but I saw it. Do you know who is the biggest Zoran Mandani incoming mayor fan? Donald Trump. Donald Trump loves it and loves him. And so Dana can be like, hey, President, can we take care of this? And he'll call his buddy Zoran Mandani and be like, hey, Zoran, what are we doing here? And he'll be like, you know what? F Eric Adams. Charges dropped. Ain't nothing happening here.
Hoping we might be able to break a little news on the program today. We'll see. We're digging in on something that I think you guys. I think it's pretty interesting. So we're waiting to see if we can confirm the other side of things.
But like, honestly, I genuinely did not know that Eric Adams is doing this. I do not believe anything will come of this. It's incredibly, like, this is also 2 weeks later. Like, what in the name of, what is he doing? It's so stupid. Unless somebody filed a claim, like a random bystander got injured or something, then okay, fair. Like, right. Like this is not behavior that should be condoned. And so, like, if that's the case, if this ever became, they'll just plead it out, because Chanko, I mean, straight up came up and said that he did it, and I did it for reasons that are not legally acceptable. He battered a dude for reasons that are not considered viable.
Yeah, he literally like tweeted out a YouTube video from news.com.au of the incident, and like quote tweeted the video. So yeah,
he did that yesterday. That brawl happened at UFC 322, which wasn't Saturday. It was the Saturday before. What?
It was the Saturday before the Saturday. Why do we wait so long?
You shouldn't do that as the mayor of a city anyway, because it just looks like you're not up to date on shit. Not like, oh, this thing happened in the city 10 days ago. Not on my watch. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? How are you going to prosecute Chanko? He can just not fly to New York. He lives in King Dagestan because you came to the party 2 weeks late, you dumbass. What the fuck are we doing?
Master Universe, Jedi Bike. Wow, what a nickname. Are we getting any Christmas special or end of the year shows on MMA fighting this year? Yeah, we always do the award show.
We'll certainly do the award show. We'll do the airing of the Festivus, the airing of grievances.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
I haven't figured out if I'm going to do. I've got a Thanksgiving thing coming Thursday. That's very stupid. It's not a show, but you can read about it. It's very, very dumb. And me and Jose have been working on some stuff, and it's terrific.
Oh yeah, I'm involved in that, aren't I?
Are you?
I believe I am. I have to get my stuff in.
Oh, right? No, that's different thing.
Oh, different thing.
There are two things, but yes, Jose and I have been working on something different, much sillier, that I'm very excited about.
Okay.
But that's not a show. We'll do something.
Yeah, we'll do plenty of stuff.
Maybe by Christmas time, because not a lot of people, but a small segment of people have been just chastising me about, damn, they were good. Christmas time, we'll have some time. Maybe we can get a Dustin Poirier, damn, they were good. Because if one man deserves it, man, it's Dustin Poirier. It'll be my Christmas gift to you, all you fine folk.
Gents, it all comes down to this: tourney champ versus tourney champ. Brian Campbell versus Jose Youngs. MK versus MMA fighting this Friday. Convince me why I should put my wager on your boy Jose and not BC.
Buddy, if you want to bet on BC, do it, because I would love to take the money on the other side of that action.
So I reached out to some friends. I'm told the soon-to-be dropped betting line, Jose is a bigger favorite against Brian Campbell than Anthony Joshua is against Jake Paul right now.
Yeah. Look, when Luke first told me about this project he was embarking on, I was like, oh, it's actually really fun. And my second immediate thought was, oh, don't let Jose play. He'll just make it not fun for anyone else. I love Brian. Seeing Brian this weekend. He is going to lose. Jose has incredible memory for this sort of thing.
Yeah, he's a freak. Just go watch any of the prop quizzes featuring Jose.
Dude, he hung 1 billion points on Ben. Like 1 billion points on Ben.
He beat Bond by 100,000 points.
Yeah.
Like that was just full on represent for us.
I was talking to him about it, about the Ben one. He was like, I didn't really realize how the scoring worked. And so I actually didn't optimize because I didn't realize, like, I thought it was like Jeopardy and you get the question wrong, you lose the points for the question. So starting low. And then when I realized you just lose 100. I just took all the points and I wiped the floor with him. I was like, yeah. So you could have beat him by more and you beat him by 1 billion. Sure could have. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Jose is like the sharpshooter you play pool with, where if you don't run the table, he's gonna clobber you. Like he's gonna win every single time. So Brian cannot get a single question wrong or he's going to lose. End of discussion.
No. Jose is just the Schwab. Like he's the Schwab, like from the old ESPN Stump the Schwab thing. Like he's the MMA Schwab. You can't beat him. It's not possible. So the best Brian can do is hope to survive the moral victory, make it 25 minutes. That's what BC has to do.
Yeah, he is in for a tough day. I think he probably knows this already, but maybe he always plays this is not good, I'm gonna lose, and then he goes out and puts on a pretty good performance. So Dangerous, have you seen Hamzat taking John down? Yes, I did see that video, and a whole bunch of other stuff that not great.
Yeah, I mean, that's annoying. I will say, and like John, I'll actually give John just the smallest amount of credit here. Because John, like people were like, oh, Hamzat took you down. Actually, John, in fact, responded not like a petulant child, which was nice. He's like, yeah, he's really strong and we're on concrete. I can't do like as much as maybe I'd like to defend, but like, he's really strong. It's like, yeah, watching that, my primary takeaway, John wasn't full fight mode. It was still like, holy, that dude is, man, Hamzat Chimaev is a monster.
He is a very big, strong, massive, very talented guy. So Marcel Dorfers reported that UFC on ESPN 74, December 13th, Neil Magny versus Amosov. If that is true, thoughts on that debut for Amosov? Does he get fast track? Would they win at 170? So, I mean, we haven't like fully confirmed this, but as we've been saying, this fight has been sort of being reported for a couple of weeks now. I've seen it multiple times. And as I was saying, if you followed the Twitter reports of this fight, which has been out there for a couple of weeks now, I just said there's smoke to the fire. So I'll say probably going to happen. Again, we haven't like 100% confirmed it, but as we've been saying for a while, that was the fight. So let me see if the UFC has officially announced it yet. Because this seems kind of like a fight they would just throw on the website and be like, oh, there it is. Last time I saw her was Neil Magny versus TBD, and now they don't even have that anymore.
Assuming it happens, Magny's actually on a 2-fight win streak right now. He's not ranked. I don't know how. Yes, I think the answer though is assuming that happens and Amosov does win. I don't know that he'll be fast tracked in like the traditional sense of the word because everything at welterweight has got so much going on already. But I would guess that his next opponent will have a number next to their name, and it could be somebody like Joaquin Buckley. Like it could be even a guy who's not like 15, like up in the rankings a little bit.
He could get Sean Brady.
Yeah, that would be every definition of fast track if he got Sean Brady. Because if he won that fight, then boom, he's set up. But yeah, I think that if he beats, this would make sense, assuming it happens. Hey, Neil Magny's a top 20 guy. Come in, show your level. There's a little patchy mix era here. Like, hey, where are you at? And if you got the juice, you're not a young man. I know you're not your former Bellator champion. You did lose it, but yeah, we can move you along pretty quickly. So if he wins, and if this fight happens, and if he wins, he's getting a ranked guy.
I'm curious to see. Like, I'm looking for even like betting odds for December 13th. I'm not seeing anything. So.
Yeah, I haven't. Betting odds for next week aren't even like super live. It's pretty limited. So
this is the perfect fight to debut him with.
It's a great fight. Makes total sense. This
would probably be the best win of his career if he beats Neil Magny. Lima was a good win just because he did exactly what Islam did to JDM, and it was so damn impressive. But Douglas I think he was coming off the loss to Gegard at the time.
Yeah, I think Lima's still better but that was a middleweight. That was Douglas going up to win the middleweight belt.
Right.
Yeah. I think Lima is still the best win of his career over Magny. I think there's an argument for Storley, but I think I would pick Neil Magny over Storley. But there's an argument. I think it would be his second best win though.
I like the fight. I think it's perfect.
I think it's a perfect fight. So yeah, great. I hope it happens. It seems like it's going to.
Wouldn't be surprised. And then we'll get Waldo Cortez Acosta against, what's Chase Sherman doing these days? I think that's like a perfect, let's bring him back.
Curtis Blades. Sit on his ass.
Curtis A fighting December 13th. Come on.
No, but you know who, again, I don't remember did I pitch this on the post show? I don't think you picked it I was listening on to the next one, and I think both you and AK just said whatever to you, like he fights too often to pick him. Again,
it's Derek Lewis.
Correct.
That's the
Derek
fight.
Lewis.
But not December 13th, because Derek's not going to fight December. He's not going to ruin Thanksgiving and Christmas.
You think Derek will care?
It's not the main event.
It wouldn't ruin Christmas. It'd get him some extra money. Shit, they could make it the main event. I'm sorry. Are you here to tell? You're looking me right here in the eyes, Mike.
I know you're going to say.
You look at me right in the eyes, and you're going to tell me Brandon Royval's about to fight Manel Kopp? Because I don't believe that. You shouldn't either.
I would.
They need a main event. That card need a main event because you know what happens when that fight inevitably falls apart in the next 2 weeks? It's maybe Magny and Amasov as your main event, or it's Amanda Lemos, Jillian Robertson. So Waldo Cortez Acosta and Derek Lewis, get on down.
First of all, I love that because that would be extra points for me. Ranked fighter, main event points. Like I hope you're right.
That's exactly the fight Derek Lewis wins, though. Like it's exactly just like he should.
But even if I get like the free main event points, like I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Like I'm okay. I still get something out of the deal.
He would win your MVP vote for sure.
Do it.
I'll at least accept it. I will be furious how this is broken for you. But like at least if they just give him a fight against a random guy, it'll just be like, why? Like you don't need to do that.
Sure you do.
But if they give him Derek Lewis because the last card like actually needs a backup main event, because you just can't trust Brendan Royval and El Cop, I'd be okay with that.
I mean, look who Kevin Holland beat during his like incredible 2020.
Mike.
Anthony Hernandez, Joaquin Buckley, who made his debut on short notice, Darren Stewart.
Yeah, he wasn't a top 7 ranked guy when he did this.
He was flying up the rankings at this point. Then he was supposed to fight Mahmoud Muradov. He's supposed to fight Mahmoud Muradov. He was supposed to be him. And then he took on a young whippersnapper by the name of Charlie Ontiveros, which is like, dude, just get anybody on the card. That win over Charlie Ontiveros, who is one of probably the worst fighters to compete in the UFC in the last 10 years, that put him so far over and set him up for the Jacare fight, which put him over the top as the breakthrough fighter of the year and fighter of the year on a lot of people's lists that year. So just doesn't matter. Just get anybody. Get anybody. Yeah. I'm telling you, Chase Sherman is probably available. Just get him out there.
Derek Lewis is the only fight. I pitched that on Sub Radio. I was on Sub Radio on Sunday with Aaron Bronstetter, and I was like, guys, there's a right answer. And they were like trying to figure it out. And then I was like, the answer is Derek Lewis. And both Bronstetter and Dennis were like, yeah, that's the right answer. And then Dennis was like, man, you and Mike love Derek Lewis. Like, no, Mike loves him, but this time Mike is correct. It is the actual right answer.
Yeah. I mean, it should have been him versus Asadal. We wouldn't be in the damn situation we're in right now. But no one wants to listen to me.
Heavyweight champion.
No one wants to listen to me. And think about how fun that would have been. Danger Mouse. Mike, are you as confused as Don Davis that Dakota's next fight in February is not against Liz Carmouche? I'm glad this question was asked for a couple of reasons. One, she's fighting Denise Kielholtz, I believe.
That's correct.
My first reaction was like, why is it not Liz Carmouche? Really what are we doing? How do you screw this up so badly? Like, how do you mess this up?
My only guess is that Carmouche is injured and they are just trying to get her active.
Which is okay, but we just did this. Like, we literally just did this. We gave her a Naba, and she just killed her for 15 minutes.
Yeah, which
in a fight that was like, with. Yeah, and then Carmouche got hurt, or Dakota got hurt. She broke a freaking hand in the fight, and now she's gonna break her hand again over poor Denise Kielholtz, who's gonna have no defense for this. So I'm with Don, where I don't understand this. At least, what's Chase Sherman doing? Could have thrown him in there. No, I'm just kidding. But, but yeah, it's just weird. It's just weird. Like, I would rather Dakota be like, I'd rather wait for Liz at this point. Because if she goes out there and like breaks her hand again, like we're gonna have to wait like another 5 months for this fight to happen. And then also like after Carmouche, like what do you do with her? Because, and here's why I'm glad this question was asked. You have a mailbag column coming out, Jed.
Yep. Should drop tomorrow. I'm done with it, so I think it'll come tomorrow.
Yeah, it should drop tomorrow. And this became a great debate on our...
It was a spirited Slack debate last night.
Spirited Slack debate. Where we're talking about potential trades for Dakota Ditcheva. Do you want to reveal? Do it just the original one, or do you want to reveal the one? I'm
still sticking on the original one because I think the original one gets over the line, but I'm open to other ideas. So the question, and I forget who asked it. You'll be in the column, so shout out to you. Was like, hey, pick 5 PFL fighters that you could trade to the UFC, and what would you trade them for? And I was like, 5 is way too many. That's just a lot of words to write. And like, yeah, I would get Usman and Ditcheva and Eblin and blah, blah, blah. But like PFL is not just going to let you totally raid them for talent. And there's just not a way you could do it. But I do actually think that this is one of the very rare times where like the first and thus far only MMA trade where Ben Askren and Demetrius Johnson were swapped. I think now would make sense for a trade between the two organizations because Dakota Ditcheva is wasted in PFL. She has the Carmouche fight. That's the only fight. They haven't even booked it. Instead, they booked Denise Kielholtz. That fight is, to be generous, minimally competitive. To be not generous, a squash match.
It is.
And why are we doing that with her? On the other side of the ball, the UFC probably needs to offload some talent anyway, because according to Dana White, they're going to do double contender series moving forward pretty soon.
Which is so dumb.
It's awful, but that's not the topic we have to debate right now. But more importantly, like their women's divisions are floundering. The only interesting, exciting person that's not 37 in women's MMA right now is pretty much Dakota Ditcheva. Valentina Shevchenko, I don't know. I mean, she could ostensibly do this forever because she's just better than everybody. But like Ditcheva is the only person really in women's MMA that is getting people interesting, but for the Nunes Harrison matchup. And so like they could really use Dakota Ditcheva, and they could get Ditcheva to be an actual star. Because one of the points of contention last night in the debate, PFL is valuing Dakota Ditcheva as a big star. She is just not. She has the potential to be that. But nobody outside of the MMA bubble knows her. She has 300,000 Instagram followers or whatever. Like that, she's just not that. And they don't have the tools to build her bigger, frankly. So I think it makes sense to do a swap right now. You're going to have to give PFL a lot. They're invested in Ditcheva. Like, they're going to need value for her here. Think of this like an NFL trade, right? Like, okay, we're in a rebuilding phase. We've got, I would say Micah Parsons, but the Cowboys trade was one of the worst trades in history. Not quite the same. Like, we have Max Crosby on the Raiders. We're in a full rebuild. We need to get rid of him because we just need as many pieces back as possible to build up with. So I was fiddling around, and the trade I've proposed, and Don Davis, you're welcome. You can make the phone call right after this is over and you get this. Maybe you want to tweak the numbers a little bit. Trade is this. You give Dakota Ditcheva to the UFC. The UFC gives you former light heavyweight champion Magomed Ankalaev, former welterweight champion Leon Edwards, whose brother competes in your organization. And what was the third one I had in that?
My guy.
Which is your guy?
Derek Lewis.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Derek Lewis. I was like, where was I going? And Derek Lewis. So PFL gets 3 people, all of whom are frankly like more well-known than Dakota Ditcheva is broadly. 2 former champions, one of whom has a brother competing in the organization. You're going to get more fights out of those 3 people than they will with Ditcheva. Ditcheva is, whenever her contract is up, is almost certainly going to leave the organization. So like, you're going to get more fights. You get bigger names. You get, the second best light heavyweight in the world. You get a former champion, and you get Derek Lewis, who's the biggest star out of all 4 of these bodies by a wide margin. And see if you could possibly get a Francis Ngannou fight to happen. Derek Lewis makes more sense than doing Vadim Nemkov, which nobody cares about. Maybe you have to throw in one more piece because the PFL is getting several older fighters. Ankalaev's not old, but he's Ankalaev. So maybe you got to throw in like one more piece to the mix, like Sean Brady or something like that. But I don't think the UFC should be opposed to doing that because the upside with Ditcheva is there. And I think PFL could use 4 people in place of one nominal star that they have. Who says no, chat?
I actually think this is like a really good trade for both sides.
I know.
do.
I spent some time on this one and I was really happy with it.
Yeah, because I think Leon's like a good fit for PFL because they do go to the UK and they go to that part of the world and they go to Europe a whole lot. His brother's there, so you could put them both on the same card. And you could just shine Leon up for Thad Jean to clobber in like a year or 2. Mm-hmm. And that just gets Thad over as a guy who beat the former UFC champion. And that's always great for an organization that's trying to grow. The Ankalaev one, like, no, he's just...
They don't just like
what
him.
It is.
Yeah, but he's undeniably one of the 3 best light heavyweights in the world, and the UFC doesn't like him.
He would be their best fighter He would be their best pound for pound fighter by a long mile.
Yeah.
And they go to the Middle East, and they go to the Middle East a bunch. And you know who would be super popular over fighting in the Middle East? Magomed Ankalaev. He'd be very popular over there. So you just put him on those Saudi cards, the Middle East cards, and he becomes very popular. The Derek Lewis one is just great because he would be the face of their company immediately. He would be their biggest star since Kayla Harrison, and probably would outshine her eventually because he would fight a lot more and there'd be more, I guess, like competitive matchups for him. And he would run with that, and they would pay him a whole bunch of money, which would make him very happy. So, and honestly, like Derek Lewis, for the amount of money he's making in the UFC, he even told me like, hey, it's because of Francis going to PFL. Like, that's why I got the contract I got, because they came correct after Francis left, because they knew that PFL would try to snatch me up to go fight Francis. So the UFC paid me a whole bunch of money and I liked it. So I think it makes sense, man, because like you said, the second Dakota's deal is over, because she's there because she's getting a bag. She's getting a giant bag of money. So like, it's kind of like Kayla sticking around. Like, take the bag, set your life up forever, and then like you shouldn't have to struggle for cash ever again after this deal. So just invest wisely, set yourself up for the rest of your life. And then once this deal is over, she's gone anyways. Like, she's going to go to the UFC, and then it becomes legacy at this point. It becomes like, how good was I? So I kind of like this, man. I think it makes a lot of sense for all parties involved.
Again, you might have to sweeten it for PFL because, you might just need another piece or two, but the UFC can give them pieces. They don't care. Like, they don't need random top 15 dudes. Like, you could throw, I spent a lot of time on this. And I was trying to find trades that could happen because Izzy just wouldn't go. Like, I don't think Izzy would fight for PFL if traded. Because my initial thought was like Robert Whitaker. And I was like, Bob would retire. Like, I just straight up think he would retire. He's also said something more or less to that effect. Like, if he's not in the UFC, he's done. You can't really give him any women's fighters because their women's divisions are relatively poor in general. And so, like, none of those trades, like, you got to find the right pieces, but you could just throw on a bunch of, dude, if they want, like, if we had fun, if this was a sport where fun was allowed, then they could be like, here, we'll give you these 3 and we'll give you the option to sign 2 contender series prospects next season. Any 2 you want any 2 off, like, we could do something fun like that and that'd be cool. But this isn't a fun. That's fun. That's not a thing that's remotely viable. This, I think, is viable.
I do, and I agree. And at the same time, like, I understand that Dakota Ditcheva is quote unquote the face of the company. I get that, but she will never be as over as she was at the end of last year. She just won't. There's nothing they can do to make her more popular than she was after she beat Tyler Santos. That was as big as she will ever be with them because they just don't have the fights for her. Even if she beats Liz, it'll be big, but like, she was one of, like, the fighters of the year last year. Yeah. That was the, oh shit, they got something here. And then she came back and fought Samiko Inaba. And it was just like, okay, like, we know what this is. And now she's going to begin 2026 with Denise Kielholtz. When I see some people saying, like, oh, it'd be a fun fight because she's a kickboxer, she's going to maul her. She's going to absolutely destroy her. Like, it's just going to be the same kind of thing where we're back to, well, she's just beating competition that she's way better than. And then the Santos one was like, all right, now she might be like the 5th best women's flyweight on the planet. She might be one of the best pound for pound fighters in women's MMA. Like, she was just so over at that point. And now, like, I just don't understand why we're not doing this fight right now. I don't get it.
She's not a star in, like, a meaningful definition of that word. She is a known fighter amongst hardcore MMA fans. They can't get her to be a star. Like, they just don't have the tools to do it. And so, like, nice, lazy.
That's so good.
Like, they can keep trying to build around her and, like, Thad Jean or whatever, but it seems like that's a hard road to hoe when you could get, again, maybe it's not just the 3 I offered, but the 3 is the bulk of a trade package and you give them 1 or 2 other pieces. And I think the PFL should take that. And I think the UFC should offer it because the upside with Ditcheva is very, very grand. Like, throw Jamal Hill in.
What about this day? Khalil Roundtree?
I think they like Khalil Roundtree. I don't think they want. I think Khalil would make sense to some extent for PFL. Again, you're riding the line of, like, who would the UFC be okay with? I think they like Khalil, but, like, I don't know that they like Jamal. Jamal is boisterous and loud and a former champion. You could throw Jamal in. He would do quite well over there. Like,
actually would probably be a good career decision for him.
Yeah. Like, it would be a good move for him. Like, I think there are pieces to get her. It wouldn't be a 1-to-1 that DJ Askren was, but, like, I think the UFC should inquire into doing this. They won't, but it was an interesting question posed. And then I thought about it and I was really happy with what I came up with.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty fair trade across the board. I like this question. Mike and Jed, what has been the funniest MMA moment for you both this year? Something that brings a smile on your face.
Mike, we're on the same page, right?
I think so. But it's not something I've, like, actively thought about, but there is one thing that, like, popped into my mind immediately.
Well, what is yours?
Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez.
Correct. Kevin Holland, Daniel Rodriguez, 318. Easily the funniest thing that's happened this year. Like, I can't think of anything else immediately fight related that made me laugh as much as that fight has. That's going to be in my top 5 fights of the year, almost certainly. The fight is incredible. So yeah, absolutely, right near the top of the list.
Yeah, that's got to be it. That's got to be it. We're still doing super chats. Yes, of course we are. Right,
I saw somebody asked earlier, just to answer it. I'm not a Falcons fan. I've never been a Falcons fan. I'm a Colts fan.
Oh, Patriots will be the number 1 seed, by the way.
I don't think so. Not after your injuries this past weekend. I think you're making the playoffs. Certainly, you're going to win the division, but you lost your left guard and your left tackle. They're not out for the year, apparently. I think I think the Broncos are going to get it improbably. The fucking Broncos.
Their schedule just isn't great.
Yeah.
Baltimore is going to be tough.
Drake May was getting sacked before your O-line disintegrated.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of our issues heading into the season. Correct. Like I said, like I've been saying the whole time, I'm not even gonna, if they go to the playoffs and they lose in the first round, I'm not even gonna be mad about it.
Yeah.
They are overachieving to the umpth degree right now. The fact that I was like, they're gonna win 9 games, and if they win 9 games, I will be so excited for next season. They're crushing that. So all of this is just cherry on top of the sundae right now.
The only team who's crushed it more is the Colts, who objectively have crushed it more because they exceeded their win total projection, the earliest of any team in the NFL. And I got to tell you, as a Colts fan, this season's perfect. I've had so much fun, and now Daniel Jones is sucking again, so we're not going to pay him $50 million on a 3-year contract, a year for 3 years. So we're not going to do what the Giants did and be like, oh, we have to pay him, and now we're hamstrung. We're like, cool. The rest of our team's good. Let's find a quarterback. We're going to make the playoffs. We're going to win the division. Or get to have some fun. We will lose to somebody. It'll be great, and we won't pay Daniel Jones $1 billion, which I'm pretty happy about.
Some other funny thoughts. Marcus Bucech's UFC debut. That was very funny. I enjoyed. Casey and I had a incredible time watching that fight. We watched that live at the end of a People's Pre-Fight show, and boy, we were getting after it. What else we got?
I'm while we're going through, I'm thinking if there's anything else that jumps out of my head. But nothing. I mean, nothing. The immediate answer is Kevin Holland, Daniel Rodriguez, because I laughed a lot.
Oh, that was such a fun fight.
The fight ruled.
It was an incredible fight. I mean, it wasn't that funny, but you yelling at Daniel Zellhuber while he's fighting Michael Johnson with the climb on the line.
That was actually really funny. Not funny in the context of our lives, not necessarily in the context of.
I remember saying nothing. I was silent for 3 minutes on the watch party, just laughing and holding back tears because I didn't. I felt so bad.
The only saving grace is that immediately after, Kevin Holland would have lost to 2, so I just had no chance. But man, it was tough.
Yeah, what a night! What a night that was. That might have just been the funniest pay-per-view of the year.
It was definitely the funniest pay-per-view of the year.
What was that? That was 318, right?
Time. Yeah, 318 was a time.
Was that was the Max?
Was
Poirier card,
Max
right?
Dustin? Yeah. It was one of the rare times there were 5 decisions on a main card, and
we had a blast.
Locked in the whole time.
Marvin Vettori got a fight of the night. I mean, what a wonky card.
I can't believe, looking at that now, I cannot believe Brendan Allen Marvin Vettori was fight of the night. That's maybe the 3rd or 4th best fight. It's ridiculous.
Over D-Rod and Holland is ridiculous. Over Dustin Poirier's? Yeah. Oh, and over Dustin Poirier's final fight is insane.
Dude, even over Zellhuber Johnson is probably not right. Man, I forgot for a lot of this year, they were doing some really weird bonuses.
Someone asked earlier, best male and female debuts, rookie years this year that stood out, or rising prospects. They used to.
Debuts are tough because when we do that sort of stuff, let's actually do a research phase, and I'm not Jose Youngs. I don't recall things like that. I mean, Ateba's got to be the dude, right? Ateba feels like he has come.
I mean,
he's got the most juice right now, I think, of guys who made a debut this year.
I mean, Juicing you, Wellmaker had a big year. Jacoby Smith.
Yeah, Wellmaker just losing kind of takes the shine off him. But Jacoby Smith also, I mean, another prospect I'm super high on. I think Ateba's the dude that I would say is like the guy who made his debut. Women.
Killen, Salkilled, great year.
Killen Salkilled also has just impressed beyond what I anticipated. I'm looking at debuting fighters right now and seeing who is jumping off. I mean, just shout out to Ethan Ewing. I know that was very recent, but that's just a cool story for him to make his debut in that.
Yeah, that's a good one. Melissa Croden could. I really like her, man.
Ooh, Kevin Vallejos debuted this year. I didn't realize Kevin Vallejos debuted this year. I guess that makes sense. He won Contender Series last year. I think Kevin Vallejos is like one of the best prospects in the sport right now, but his debut was not the same level of like Ateba or whatever. Who did you say just now, Mike?
I like Melissa Croden a lot.
Melissa Croden, that was a very good debut.
Judice didn't debut this year, right? She debuted last year.
No, Judice debuted last year. No, that's the other thing. If we get Dakota, we're one step closer to Carly Judice versus Dakota Ditcheva, which is probably my number 2 fight of won't be made anytime soon. But man, I want to see those two just take shots at each other. just getting a knife fight in the middle of the octagon. That would rock. I think Melissa Croden might be the answer as far as women go. I'm looking around to see if anybody else is jumping out that I've missed. Nobody is. I'm looking at a list on old Wikipedia. No other women's fighters are really like blowing my hair back here. So yeah, Melissa Croden's a good choice. I think that's.
Yeah, I was really impressed by her,
especially because I just really. I mean, also we should probably note, just for the sake of it, Beatriz Mosqueda.
Oh, what am I talking about?
I forgot that. Like,
that's the correct answer.
Yeah, that's probably the right answer there. But Croden's also a good.
Croden's
choice.
There too. Mm-hmm. But Bia's not really like a prospect. Croden's. How old's Croden?
I have no idea.
I think she's in her. Is she in
I
her
think
30s
she's
too?
30. Is what I like. That's the number that jumped out at my head, but I don't know if that's true or not.
She is.
But she does. It's called Scare. 34.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's only had 9 MMA fights.
Beatriz Mosqueda is the best. Is the person to hitch a wagon to as far as going to do something good.
So if we have like female rookie of the year, is it her?
Almost. Almost certainly. I can't imagine not.
So we have to figure this out if we're going to do rookie of the year again, or if we're going to bring back breakthrough fighter of the year, because it's Waldo Cortez Acosta by a country mile.
I've pitched this the last 3 years. I think we should do both.
Oh, okay.
I just think they're different things. Like a rookie is a rookie; they are a debuting fighter, and a breakthrough fighter is, it's like the comeback fighter of the year. It's not the same, but we don't do a comeback fighter of the year because that would be it's a hard thing to do in this sport.
Did Fatima Klein debut this year?
I don't think so. I think Fatima debuted last year, but let me check that.
Because she fought Jasmine on pretty short notice.
Let me check that. It could be this year.
Luke Riley, I like a lot.
No, she did debut last year. Okay.
Okay. Montague is another one I really like. She debuted this year.
There's some decent prospects this year. I really like this crop of Contender Series guys who only a couple have debuted. So we'll start to get a few of them coming through. Last year's run was okay. But yeah, I think we should just do both. Right. And at some point we are probably going to have a conversation about if we split up men's and women's, because we're just never going to award a woman a prize in the sport if we don't, because of how the things are going. We don't have to, but like, by my estimation, right now, I wrote sort of about this in the mailbag column that should drop tomorrow. I think the fighter, actually, no, I guess I wrote this on a roundtable. Sorry. I think our fighter of the year discussion is a 2-horse race.
Yes.
It's Merab Dvalishvili If he wins at 323, he's the fighter of the year. I don't think there's a credible argument not for Merab if he wins, if he beats Petr Yan again. If he loses, I will probably give it to Islam Makhachev. I think that those are the only two functional answers for fighter of the year. And my number 3, which I don't think people realize, but to me is actually a pretty clear-cut number 3, but obviously behind the two of them, is Valentina Shevchenko.
I agree with you.
And so, like, I think Valentina Shevchenko is the clear number 1, far and away, the women's fighter of the year. It's not a question. I think she's number 3 on my list. And if Merab loses to Petr Yan, I actually might even put her above Merab.
Well, I'm putting Josh Van above Merab too. If he loses and Josh wins the belt on
Josh wins the belt, Merab loses. Josh is the other guy who's like not going to make the top 5 if he loses. If he wins, absolutely top 5. It's where I slot him in that gets interesting.
Yeah.
Because I wrote about Josh Van and was like, man, I didn't realize how wild his year was until I looked at it. He was unranked in January.
Yep.
He was unranked on all. He wasn't even a Favre on our rankings. He was hey, this guy's good. He'll fight for a belt one day. He was still unranked in June before he fought Bruno Silva. I think he got a ranking before, like he was 14 when he fought Bruno Silva, who's 12 in the UFC's rankings. Beats Bruno Silva, so he's 12. But then he gets the Royval fight on 3 weeks' notice, and suddenly he's the number 1 contender. Like, that is outside of like Sean Strickland, who lost in December and was clearly not going to fight for a belt and then won the belt 7 months later. That is as sharp an uptick as you can get in this sport. It's a hell of a year if he wins. And
when Waldo wins December 13th, he'll be number 5.
He will certainly be in the mix. Waldo has locked up the all violence first team for heavyweights. He's got it. It's not a question. So, and he will certainly be a viable contender in the, fighter of the year, top 5 conversation. He still is now, even if he doesn't get to fight in December, he's still in the mix.
Before we get out of here, Jed, we do this on the show every year. What are you most thankful for in MMA 48 hours or so away from Thanksgiving 2025?
I mean, the bad answer, but the true answer is I'm thankful for all of you watching and or listening to this after the fact. I could not do this job if you guys, I mean, some of you do hate me and that's okay. But if you all hated me, I could not do this job. And I love my job. I think I am incredibly lucky to be one of the few who gets to do this for a living. So that is the thing I'm always the most thankful for. I'm obviously, of course, thankful for my colleagues at MMAfighting.com, a great website. And then from like a less sentimental, sappy thing, it hasn't been the best year, but it's been a perfectly fine year. And I will always, always, always be thankful for my beautiful adult children, Reiner DeWitter, Dricus Duplessis, and Yuri Prohashka. They are, Justin Gaethje was my son as well, but he's about to leave the nest. He's about to move on to other things, go off to college. And I still am thankful for him, but I've had less to be thankful for. But RDR, Yuri, and DDP, I love you so much. And keep being yourselves, boys.
And Mr. Senor Pepe with the super chat.
Well done. Well done, Mr. Senor Pepe.
Luke Riley called up Alexander Topuria. They should do that fight. I know you love that fight, Jed.
Yeah. I think
but they're not in the same weight class.
Awesome. I don't care. I knew when I pitched it in the Slack and before AK yelled at me, I was like, I don't care. This is Ilia wasn't a lightweight and he should fight. It's trying to fight Justin Gaethje. Let Luke Riley move up and fight him. And this is partly where
he's gonna have to move down.
Move down. Sorry. Yeah, that's how it goes. This is partly, but Topuria move up like his brother did. That's fine too. This is partly where I really think the Topuria brother thing is stupid. And I just don't care I don't care for them being like, we won't fight. We won't even have fights booked at the same time. Like, okay, that seems silly, but you're adults. I guess you can do that. Because it would make sense for those two dudes to fight on the same card as, their teammates fighting. But I would also be down if they booked that for a quick turnaround for December, like December 13th. Put that fight on the December 13th card. And then we can get Ilia and Paddy cornering against each other.
I mean, fine, but that card is filling up with Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Chase Sherman. So I don't know where we're going to slot that one in there.
I'm going to be so upset.
I hope that's the fight so bad. Oh,
so upset.
Just do it.
Out of half of your team doesn't compete, but Waldo Cortez Acosta fights 4 times.
If we can get Gautier and Waldo on that card, it would be just spectacular. Truly spectacular stuff.
I mean, the fantasy league with two games left to play, it is tight. AK and Casey are mathematically eliminated. All the rest of us are still in the thick of it. You are in it even if WCA doesn't fight, because I guess depends on how much you think Petr Yan has a chance of fighting and beating, I suppose. But you'll get the 25 points for the main event from Petr at least.
That's right. Oh God, if he wins the belt,
jeez. You get the 50 for the title fight in the main event. If he beats Merab, I'll be upset that I've lost fantasy, but I'll be so happy that he beat Merab. I won't care. I think it would be much more fun if he beat Merab, frankly. Merab will. I'm very clear. Merab will absolutely deserve to be fighter of the year if he beats Petr Yan. No questions asked. I would much rather vote Islam Makhachev for fighter of the year. I can't do it if Merab wins.
No, you cannot.
So I won't. But like if Merab loses, historically people will look back and be like, "Oh yeah, probably one of the 10 best fighters of all time. He should have won fighter of the year." That makes sense. I would like that better. It was at the time. I was furious. I don't remember if you were on staff at this point or not when we put Max Holloway over Demetrius Johnson that year. I was like, guys, outside of this being stupid on its face, this is historically going to look bad that, one of the 4 greatest fighters who have ever competed in arguably his like most headline grabbing year, he had the mighty whiz bar. Like, why are we not? Max beat Jose Aldo twice. It's the same fight. He just did it twice. That's great. It's the same fight twice. Like, come on. And we lost by the fact that it's even the most infuriating is, if I'm remembering I think Casey like didn't have DJ ranked at all in his top 5. And like, if he had just had him in the top 5, it was something like that where like DJ wasn't on somebody's ballot. And so he lost to Max by like a point. I was like, what are we doing? You psychopaths. I'll be mad about that forever. I will be mad about that one forever. I won't be mad if Merab wins, but I do think historically will look better if Islam Makhachev, one of the greatest fighters of all time. Maybe Merab ends up being one of the greatest fighters of all time too. He's certainly on pace to do just that. Yep. But it would be cooler. But Merab will absolutely deserve it if he wins. There's no question.
Certainly.
Undeniable.
Yes. I'm thankful for all of you as well. I'm thankful for all the staff, everyone I work with here at MMAfighting.com. Thankful for Waldo Cortez Acosta for what he's accomplished, getting me back into the game. And honestly, like, I'm very thankful for, as far as like in the sport itself, I'm thankful the ESPN era is over, or just about over. We only have 2 more events and I can get rid of that stupid app and I never have to look at it again. So super excited for that. Hopefully Paramount will be better. I'm looking forward to this new era. At least I'm looking forward to the first half, maybe the whole first year of the UFC. Like I said, they're going to give their full effort into all of this, but they're at least going to try harder for that first year to get this new relationship off the ground. And, despite what we talked about with Dakota Ditcheva earlier, I'm thankful PFL they are trying. They are triers. They're trying to do the thing, and they're not there yet, but they are at least trying to put their best foot forward with what they have available. So all you can ask is effort be put forth. PFL is doing that. UFC, I think they're going to try hard, especially with the White House card coming up, and that's going to be a huge thing. It's going to be a huge event, and I'll be very thankful for the day that the main event in that fight card is announced so we can stop talking about it. And we can just look forward to the actual fights that are going to take place. So Yeah.
I would love that. I would love that. It really feels almost 300-y of like, dude, this is 7 weeks out. What are we doing? Just announce something. Just announce it. Like, why are you not announcing it? Get the deal done, whatever it is, and do it.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
It's okay to announce something 7 months away. Like, it's fine. It's okay. But hopefully we get that answer.
You know how I know it's okay? They've done it with the White House, and people are stoked on that, and that's a year away. You could just be like, yeah.
Yeah. WrestleMania was built up 1 year for John Cena versus The Rock. A year. They did a
John
year.
Cena retiring soon? When's he done fighting? Or fake
the
fighting?
same day Waldo Cortez Acosta is going to beat Chase Sherman, December 13th.
Who's he retiring against?
We don't know yet. They're doing a tournament to determine who the final opponent's going to be. I believe it's going to be Gunther.
Oh, okay. I believe
it'll be Gunther.
Gunther's a big German dude, right?
Yeah,
like
he's awesome.
Like black shorts and nothing, no flair.
He's awesome.
He's just large and people like him.
He's the best worker pound for pound in the company. So it'd be great rub, puts the man over. And
is John Cena going to lose? He going to go out on his back?
Oh, he has to.
I mean, sure, maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, that's what you do in your last match. When you're going away, you put the dude over. You go out doing the favors, as the kids say.
I do. Again, I'm not the biggest pro wrestling guy. I really like the history of it. I've decided is very interesting. I just don't care for the product, but I do really respect. I think that's very cool. That the energy. What's the word I'm looking for? The whole thing is that you go out getting the next guy like that. That is that's just it. Like that is the expectation that the culture is. You don't leave on top. You leave not on the bottom, but just helping the next generation along. MMA is very obviously not that. The culture is usually you leave on bottom because you have hung around way too long, but there's nothing about it that's a collaborative effort because it's an actual competitive sport. It is. I'm getting for me. And I think sometimes all of my primary issues with the sport right now would be solved if people were like a little more collaborative of like, oh, I am Ilia Topuria. I have a duty and obligation to this lightweight title. I will defend it. And there are some
against the best guy.
Yeah. Against the best guy. And there are some champions right now that are doing that. Shevchenko, Merab, Pantoja. Like, I dislike Merab's fighting style, but I have an immense amount of respect for what he is attempting to accomplish in the manner he's doing it. Same for Pantoja. If everybody was like that, I think the sport would be a little bit better.
And that'll do it.
Boom. The music is playing.
The music is playing.
I didn't know if you're allowed to talk or not. I don't remember if we've solved that problem.
I think we did, but it's playing in the background. We're done, everybody. Thank you all for a wonderful time. As always, we'll be back again next Thursday to get you ready for UFC 323. Good card. Very good way to end the pay-per-view era for the UFC and ESPN. For Jed, I am Mike Heck. Thank you for watching. If you celebrate, happy Thanksgiving. Have a great rest of your week.
Happy Thanksgiving. We are so thankful for you. Love y'all.